Human rights groups are concerned that a proposal to beef up Australia's anti-people smuggling laws could see refugee supporters jailed for up to 10 years. The proposed laws could snare family members and refugee activists who send money to asylum seekers coming here by boat. The draft bill also gives ASIO new powers to spy on people it suspects of involvement in people smuggling, both in Australia and overseas. John Stewart reports.
Since the Rudd government came to power in 2007, more than 100 asylum seeker boats have made the perilous journey to Australia. The federal government and security agencies say the increasing number of arrivals is a potential security threat.
It is a very lucrative business. There are large volumes of money involved. It is organised.
But a proposed new anti-people smuggling bill has brought them into conflict with legal and human rights groups.
It means people like Oskar Schindler, who put his own life at risk to save Jews in the Second World War, could find themselves criminalised as a people smuggler here in Australia.
Currently, ASIO is restricted to investigating issues of national security, like terrorist threats. But under the new laws, ASIO could become directly involved with gathering intelligence about people smuggling activities, including the use of telephone intercepts to monitor people both in Australia and overseas.
We will now, as a result of these amendments, if they're passed, enable ASIO to become directly involved. We don't believe, and it's not intended to diminish from its primary role of counter-terrorism.
So it would mean that if a people smuggling operation was being led by, for example, the Australian Federal Police, they required a complement of some analytical capability that ASIO possessed, they could ask us for no other reason than to investigate people smuggling. They could make that request to us and we would be able to contribute. At the moment, that wouldn't be possible.
Sara Nathan fled from Sri Lanka over 20 years ago. Today she works as an asylum seeker activist, providing support for Tamil people who've travelled to Australia. She says she's already been approached by ASIO to gather information about Tamil asylum seekers, but she knocked them back.
It was very suspicious. I didn't want to go and meet them at a strange place that I had not chosen, and they wanted me to come alone and they didn't want me to tell anyone. So all this was a bit intimidating and I said, no, I don't feel safe doing that.
Aside from the changes to ASIO's powers, the new bill also makes it an offence to provide material support for those who become involved with people smuggling. The offence carries a 10-year jail term. Sara Nathan fears that refugee activists and family members who send money to asylum seekers could be caught in the net.
At times we've sent money for phone credits or medicine and so on, which all adds up to perhaps substantial amount because we've done fundraising. We don't want to be suspected by ASIO that we are funding people smuggling and thrown in jail.
Refugee activists say that if the new anti-people smuggling bill becomes law later this year, Australians will become far more reluctant to help people fleeing from war zones and political persecution.
The main thing is humanitarian assistance is going to cease because if I ask people to send money to buy medication or to buy basic clothing or food, people are going to say, oh, look, I better not get involved in this just in case ASIO suspects, and then I have to go through the whole process.
ASIO officials made a rare public appearance at a recent Senate hearing and backed the government's view that people smuggling has become a sophisticated international crime.
The logistical organisation to gather people together, to move them from one point to another, to meet a vessel, to meet another vessel, to then come to Australia, requires a high level of organisation. It's just not one person acting alone on a one-off voyage, and the money and the amounts of money are significant.
Critics say the new laws will give too much power to ASIO.
The long-term consequence, of course, is that ASIO might use that information to issue adverse national security assessments against a person here in Australia and then deport that person on the basis of that information. And in those kinds of cases, nobody can see the evidence.
The anti-people smuggling bill will be debated in Parliament later this year. John Stewart, Lateline.